Some of you know me from the compliance AML world. I started getting involved with Bitcoin when I approached the Bitcoin community in New York City at the end of 12, telling them, you're doing value transfer, and value transfer is already regulated. So what are you doing about it? And no one paid attention. And I gave a couple of talks at the meetup, and 2 weeks later, FinCEN comes up with the infamous March 18 guidance. And at that point, I was working in Neos Financial Services, a money transfer provider based in New York City. We had 18 licenses, and we had 25 bank accounts. And I approached my board, and I said, let's do, this is the future. We're going to be disintermediated. We're going to be out of the picture. This person-to-person, P2P. We're going to be out of the middle soon. Let's innovate. And they wouldn't listen, so I left my company, and I decided to join the digital money world. And I found this amazing company called Bitreserve, and I'll explain to you what convinced me to join them. And so I am an immigrant from Argentina. I grew up in Argentina. I went through the hyperinflation episodes that we all know and the large default of 2001. And I've seen how countries manage currencies and economies, and how currencies are based, and how imperfect the systems that we know today are. And, but this is what really is most striking about us, the world today. We are not here, I personally am not here to support one type of technology, one type of blockchain, one type of, I don't know, system, platform. It's about that. It's about empowering the 2/3 of the world that have no access to financial services. So, and it's also about reducing costs. We know that every transfer value, interbank, intra-bank, international, cross-border, company A, company B, bank A, bank D, every corresponding banking, every system that we know today is totally non-interoperable, it's convoluted, and it has a lot of internal friction and a lot of internal costs and risks. So when a technology like Bitcoin comes up, look at all these possibilities. We could be reinventing the pipes of the world, and we could accomplish these goals, right? So, and then this gentleman, I had no idea who he was, approached me, and then I realized he had founded all these companies. And we have to change money, we have to change the world, he said. And he has been very adamant about the purpose that we are after. And I was proud to be chosen by him to join him. And he pulled people from all these companies, risk, product, marketing, incredible talent, and I am just a drop in this bucket of talent that I'm so proud to be part of. So anyway, and the point is that this company grew up in the middle of the Bitcoin craze. But it's an idea that was in place before, right? Digitizing assets and money had been in place before for a long time, right? So why is this is now that we are in existence? Why is it that we opened up shop and we launched now? Is because of the tipping point that Bitcoin has created, right? So we have to thank Bitcoin for the revolutionary innovation, for the opportunity to bring attention to a new alternative future that's possible now, and for the technology itself, which is fascinating, right? So we have these opportunities. These are the drivers that, again, let's focus on the ends, on the purpose, right? We want to empower people. We want to change the lives of people. So the question is how and when. And if we rely too much on Bitcoin as we know it today, as it's operating today, we can even say, is it really being helpful? Could it be helpful for someone to hold Bitcoin in Africa today? So what is the benefit of someone to hold a Bitcoin wallet in Africa today? That's a key question, right? Because the usability and the utility comes when people are able to do something with currency, with money. When their lives improve because of that, because they solve a problem, right? So, so the problems with Bitcoin today are these. We know them, right? And I'm chuckling because most of you are Bitcoin people, and I'm sensing the tomatoes under your chairs. But anyway, so the point is that the quick key questions we asked ourselves within the company is, this is an incredible protocol, incredible revolutionary technology. It's a relatively good store of value in the long term, right? I'm a buy and hold guy, I'm an old guy, I'm not a trader, so I buy and hold and expect the value to grow, and expect it to grow, right? So how about the unit of account aspect of any currency? Can we name things in Bitcoin in the world today? So, open question. So, this is the invention that our founder came up with. It's an application and a platform on top of the Bitcoin protocol. So it's software that is embedded or tied on top of the TCP/IP level of Bitcoin that we have today, right? And these tokens are float around and verified safely and securely, et cetera, et cetera. But the actual value of this is the connection that this platform, this bridge, this universe, digital parallel universe has between the Bitcoin world and the real world. This is what Bitreserve is. And I'm explaining it clearly because people don't get it. And it took me some time to get it too. So we have the clunky financial services world as we know it today. Non-interoperable legacy systems, everyone paying toll for everything, ossified, monopolistic as we know it. We have Bitcoin as an incredible technology that allows for this instantaneous value transfer across the globe, any amount. And then we have this universe that is in the middle, bridging these two worlds, acknowledging the reality that this world is not going to go away tomorrow or today. So this is what made sense to me as a 46-year-old adult, right? It makes sense to me, right? So this is what Bitreserve is. It's a platform that digitizes, takes your Bitcoin in, digitizes them internally, and there's a full reserve somewhere substantiating the value. Bitcoin itself is, of course, substantiated by the blockchain because it's unhackable so far, right? So the value is safely stored in that ultra-secure platform. But what we allow is instantaneous transfers into digital versions of fiat. And that fiat, when you get into Bitcoin in your hosted wallet, you transfer it to bit dollar, or bit pound, bit euro, or bit gold. There's an actual asset, reserve, substantiated, the unit that is living in a digital platform. So it would be, in a way, a centralized side chain, if you will, right? If you know side chains, the concept of side chains, right? So side chains are these things, these circles. That's the metaphor that has been thrust in our minds, right? Right? These circles that touch and they're pegged into one another. So there's this transfer value, things happen here and go here, and we have this parallel universe where there's a peg of value between the Bitcoin here and the Bitcoin here, between the dollar here in the real economy and the dollar in our platform, between the gold in the reserve in Fort Knox and the gold that we are digitizing here. Is it clear? Hope so. So, and then the third or second innovation that is really fascinating is, and it's one of the top tenets in our company, is transparency. My title is actually Chief Transparency Officer. I am also Chief Compliance Officer for regulatory purposes, so I interface with the government, I deal with regulation. But I'm also Chief Transparency Officer, because the goal here is to create a new form of self-regulation, voluntary self-regulation, which is what is more accountable, or creates more accountability than transparency? So we're going to talk about this in more detail. This is our platform today. Basic schematic, Bitcoin in, Bitcoin out. You have to have Bitcoin to come in. That's why we're partnering with different wallets. You can link wallets to our wallet. And inside our cloud, we're a cloud money and payment system, you are able to convert Bitcoin into different forms of real value. Or, I would say, legacy value transfer currencies or units. But now, in the future, there will be additional funding mechanism and additional exit mechanisms. And I can see some nods, smart people understanding the use cases. Imagine when people are able to live within our cloud. And the main feature of our cloud is that every single transfer of value inside our platform is instantaneous and free. So if you have a wallet and I have a wallet and I send money to you digitally through our platform, that value transfer is free wherever you are in the world. If company A or a subsidiary of company A sends money to their headquarters, that internal value transfer is totally free and is always substantiated by real value in a reserve. Okay? So this is what our metaphor, internal metaphor, it's cards. We have the concept of digital cards. So the wallet, the account, is segregated in sub-accounts, each of which has a currency. And this product, as it is today, of course, we evolve, we pivot, we change, is actually based on the genius of Bitcoin. Each of these cards has a wallet address, a Bitcoin address, that is able to receive Bitcoin. So even if it's denominated in the USD, or in pound, or in gold, it can receive the value that goes out of gold can be received by a Bitcoin wallet. So you can pay out in Bitcoin, wherever Bitcoin is accepted, with gold, with pound, etc. So these are some use cases that I'm seeing in your mind. They're pretty obvious, and there will be more. So this is the first tagline we used last year when we announced our launch in May in Amsterdam. At the end of Bitcoin volatility. And I know that most of you are trading experts. I'm not. So the initial conversation was, oh, how you do your hedging? What is the financial engineering behind your platform? Of course, we can't talk about that. It's proprietary. It's a common standard operating procedure to maintain things confidential. But it's pretty simple. So the hedging mechanism is the exit of the position, is the sale of the asset, right? So we are able to convert Bitcoin into a stable form of value that people understand and use every day, right? So if people had deposited Bitcoin early in February, they wouldn't have lost the amount that the currency, this unit, tradable commodity asset / currency, has lost in the past few months. So, and this is the idea. It's a hypothesis. Like all of us, we operate under assumptions, and we come up with ideas and we develop them. This is a big idea. So, our founder is an anthropologist. He understands consumer behavior, and it's uncanny how much he understands consumer behavior. He can predict things. And it's about simplicity and understanding of what people prefer today, right? What people use today. We're talking about mass adoption. How are we going to achieve mass adoption with the complexity of the blockchain itself, the Bitcoin as a token, the regulatory environment? How are we going to achieve mass adoption when the new product is so complex and so difficult to absorb and comprehend? So, and to finalize, I'm just going to describe this aspect of transparency and how we believe this is going to be a new form of doing consumer protection. And this is a verb that came up in the conversations. I had no idea it existed. It means that. It means to bask or in the sun or be exposed to the sun. And it refers to this. It has to do with this. Right? This is a famous quote by Louis Brandeis. So, transparency as the Bitcoin blockchain itself is showing to the world, creates a new world of accountability. It's there, it's irrefutable. It happened. And you cannot change it. My president is accused of lying in Argentina about her law degree. So, had the system been in place to record, the credentials, academic credentials on some kind of a blockchain type technology, it would have been irrefutable. She couldn't have lied. I'm not saying that she did, but she's allegedly. So anyway, so we have this concept of transparency, and this is an innovation itself within the product, right? And it's galvanized or made real through two products, right? We publish a dashboard with a real what's going on in our platform today. We show to the world how badly we're doing, right, as a business. How many transactions are coming in, how much value is being stored in our digital platform, and we show it to the world. And why? Because of that. Because in this world, no one can be trusted. It's a post-trust world. We know what happened in the past few years, right? So we believe this is the ultimate form of accountability and consumer protection. Let's see how and why. We have these two products. The reserve chain, again, inspiration from the blockchain. We have our internal ledger is a replica of the blockchain in terms of the account numbers, the string of characters. Of course, it doesn't have the cryptographic complexity and self-confirmation through miners or any other proof. But it has the form and the shape of a blockchain and records every input, conversion, and exit of value. So there is an instant replica, an instant record of every single transaction that happens in the platform, right? And we publish it live, and you can downloadable. You can download it now. And you can track it, you can connect an API and see what's going on in real time. So why is this important? This is important to consumers, this is important to regulators, right? I don't know if you understand consumer protection regulation or licensing regulation or prudential regulation in general, but one of the key aspects of regulation is the company solvent? Is the company liquid? Are the funds stored securely? Will there be any loss of value? Right? And the prudential model we have today is all ex post, is after the fact, and it's mandatory by law. So companies are forced to publish their financial statements, right? Who in the right mind would want to publish their internal financial statements, right? Of course, but you have to, if you list your shares in the public market, you have to, it's the law, right? And then in the non-public world, but still financial world, there's money transmission laws that force companies to store a value in certain permissible assets at certain levels and to have a full reserve. But that verification of the full reserve comes after the fact, in examinations, audits, through the review of interim financial statements and stuff, right? So, but this is revolutionary because this is real time. It's being published today. So if a regulator had a direct feed into our reserve chain, they would be able to track our financials or reconstruct our financials in real time. So we're opening this up to innovation also in the sense in how we are subject to oversight as a financial services firm. And the second invention is the reserve ledger, which is most important to consumers, because the reserve ledger is a ledger, in obligations and assets, liabilities and assets, right? We have the money, the value that came into our platform in any shape and form, whether it's Bitcoin or fiat, whatever, and then the actual reserves, cold wallets, whatever the storage or the vaults are holding the real assets, they're all aggregated, and it's possible to see if there's a match. And more importantly, to identify if there's a mismatch. So we could create triggers or alarms when the asset starts holding back and the liabilities grow and there's a mismatch, so there's a risk of liquidity, right? Loss of liquidity. So these things are innovations that are already in place from day one. And I, as a aspirational innovator in the financial services world, having worked for 12 years in the financial services world, money transmission, licensing, and with this aspiration to change the world and to change regulation, because I know how heavy it is on society in general, I started seeing these things. It's fascinating, right? So it's a early warning mechanism. It's a different way of doing self-auditing and external auditing to the world, right? So in some, this is the end of my commercial. Everyone has come here to do theirs, right? So this is what Bitreserve is. Conceptually, I hope I have made it clear. It's for real people. It's for people who understand and live in a fiat currency world. And that we want innovation to happen in our lifetime. I personally want the world to change in my lifetime. I don't want to wait for 15 years for the blockchain or a blockchain to become a safe and secure system. Hopefully it will come soon. And as technology evolves, we will adapt and evolve with it. Thank you very much.